Very good afternoon to you all and welcome to the launch episode 4 hosted by the PR Circle of the Department of Management. I'm your host Heleeth Perera and today we have Hirunima Kekulawala with us, the President of the Human Resource Circle at NSBM. She is an outstanding student who is here to share how she balances academics with leadership along with the experiences that have shaped her journey. Let's get started. To begin with, can you introduce yourself to us and tell us a bit about your degree program and how you got involved with the HR circle as the president?
So, like he said, I am Hirunima Kekulawala, and this is my second year here at NSBM Green University, and I am following a double major, which is Management and Innovation and Logistics and Supply Chain Management, which is offered by the Department of Management in affiliation with the Victoria University. So, as the name itself suggests, it covers a lot of areas which it would be really helpful when we get into our career journey, whether it be starting a business or managing yourself in the corporate sector or the logistics, warehousing. All of those things are covered with that degree, which is offered by our department. So, which is the exact reason why I picked that degree. So, talking about the HR circle, when I was in my first year, I was given an opportunity by the department to attend one of the auditorium events, which was Exquisite. So that is essentially the largest corporate quiz competition, which is organized by university. So that is hosted by the HR Circle, which is under the Department of Management. So I was inspired by the whole concept and scale of this event, and I thought one day I wanted to be a part of this event and this community. So I joined the HR circle, and last year I ended up being the events lead for the project and the circle. So being the president was not something I was expecting to be doing this year, because this year I had already taken up another role in a different circle, so I wasn't really sure if I would be able to balance more than one with my academics. But my friends and lecturers later on made me realize that being comfortable doesn't really get you anywhere in life, because if you want to be or want to have a comfortable life in the future, you have to work hard for it now. Because if you stay comfortable now, you're going to have a very hard life in the future, because you essentially didn't work well enough to deserve that level of comfort. So my resolution this year was to step outside of my comfort zone. So that's what I did, and I ended up here today.
Wow, so what a great introduction you got there with so many valuable insights. And to go with balancing academics and extracurriculars. Apart from the HR circle, are you involved in any other extracurricular activities?
Yes, so apart from the HR circle, I also do the role of the secretary in the Entrepreneurship circle, which again is under our Department of Management.
Amazing. And how do you manage both your studies and your extracurricular activities?
Good question. So for me, it's about it's not really about balance, because after you start doing your role, like I said earlier, even in the beginning, I was also not sure whether or not I would be able to balance all of it. But after taking the role, I realized that there are so many things I can learn from the extracurricular activities, which help me do my academics better, which I couldn't have been able to do if I didn't take up the role. So it's about realizing that extracurriculars and academics, there's no trade-off between the two. It's about realizing that they both are like links of a continuous interconnected loop. You need one to excel in the other. So when you realize that extracurriculars and academics are both important and you care about them on the same level, you somehow figure out a way to allocate time for both of them. So it's like, your mom, she does a job, she does the household work, and apart from that, she still finds time to take care of her kids. Why? Because she loves her job and she loves her kids as well. So somehow she finds a way to fit all of that inside her day. So when you develop the capability or the understanding that both of those things are important, you will find a way to balance it somehow.
Right, what a great answer. So it's basically like multitasking, so
Yeah.
balancing both those sides,
Right,
right?
exactly.
Great. And has being active in university clubs affected your academic performance?
Yeah, I would say it did affect me, but in a positive way. So, like for me, when I have a lot of things to do on my plate, I feel more motivated to do them because
Right.
in the morning I wake up and I'm like, oh, I have this lecture to attend in the morning. After that, I have this meeting to go to plan an event. And at night, I have this assignment to complete. So immediately I start setting targets because I feel motivated because there's a lot to do. But for someone who is just doing academics and no other extracurricular stuff, you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, I have that same lecture I attended yesterday. So it's the same old thing repeating again and again, and you essentially get bored of your own existence because there's nothing interesting in your day. So for an undergraduate, self-motivation is something that keeps you going in your university life. And I think extracurriculars is the best way to initiate that motivation.
So you basically use the same routine when you are handling challenges that come up, when you have these exams and these major
Right.
assignments. So you
Yeah.
do the same routine, right?
Yeah,
All right,
exactly.
cool. That's amazing. And also, do you have any support systems like friends, faculty, or any mentors who help you balance these things?
Yeah, of course. Like I have so many amazing friends and lecturers. Especially I'm working under the Department of Management with my degree. So we have the department head, Ms. Pasuri, and all of our lecturers who do our lectures. So if we anyhow miss something of our lecture because of the extracurricular activities, and if you go to them, they would never tell you, oh, you should drop doing sports or extracurriculars because you're missing out on certain academics. Instead, what they would do is they would appreciate the fact that when you actually do have time to prioritize your academics, they will appreciate the fact that you come to them, use your time effectively, and cover all the materials with the time you have effectively. So there are a lot of lecturers, department heads, deans who are there to help you. You just have to be smart enough, or you have to be willing to take that help when you really want to.
All right, cool. So you're very smart. All right, amazing. Right. So when it comes to leadership and teamwork, many students hesitate to take on leadership roles because they fear it will be overwhelming for them. And what would you say to them?
So I would say, yeah, it is overwhelming, but you just have to learn to accept the fact that it's going to be a little bit of stress and it's going to be a little bit scary. But the thing is, so if you take like when you're closer to an exam, you start to feel that level of stress and you start to feel a bit scared. But that fear is essentially what makes you get up in the morning and start doing your studies. So and you get done with your studies because of that fear. So for someone who is only doing academics, that fear comes only when you're closer to an exam. For someone who is doing extracurriculars every day, that level of, I would say, healthy fear is always there. So every day you push yourself a little bit more to get your things done and get something new done every day, more than you think you can do.
So it's basically the hard work that pays off
Yeah.
everything, right?
Yes.
All right, cool. I'm also motivated right now
Okay.
because of these experiences that you have. Very interesting. And the other thing is, how do you keep your team motivated, especially when everyone has their own studies to focus on?
So when it comes to motivating a team, you have to first understand what they are good at and what their capacity is. Because if essentially you have someone who is not working on your team, and if you develop this negative perception about them, you're never going to be able to motivate that person because you're looking at that person thinking they can't do it. So it's like this thing I've heard when if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that they can't do it. But if you see that person and know you're like, oh, that person can swim, and you judge that person by their ability to swim, then they will do that work better because they know they can do it or they have the potential to do it. So, as a leader, identifying your team's capabilities and how each person handles different workloads differently and giving them a task that they actually have the potential to do and they love doing it, then you'll be able to motivate that person.
Very nice. And I think a leader shouldn't be scared of judgment. Like
Yes.
that thing holds them back from
For sure.
any challenge or even motivation, right? Alright. And how is your degree program helpful in your student life here at NSBM?
So, like I said, it covers a very broad scope when it comes to the degree that I follow, which is offered by our department. So, it has helped me in so many ways, whether it be like the actual knowledge behind it, covering all those aspects, or even when it comes to time management, because our degree we don't have a final exams. It's all based off of assignments, continuous assignments. So every other week I have a deadline. So managing those deadlines with the events that I have, that is something very valuable I learned because I followed this degree. So earlier when I was at school and I had final exams, I would just keep everything to the end, do the work the day before, and I'll pull it off. But this degree, like, help me to every day keep myself motivated, get things done within the day, what I have to prioritize within that day. So it essentially helped me with planning, scheduling, and keeping myself motivated throughout the entire day or week or whatever it is.
Right. So what I understood was that time management is something very important for you,
Right.
and you learn from your degree as well.
Yes.
Right. Amazing. So talking about personal growth, how has being the HR circle president and being involved in extracurriculars in general helped you grow personally and professionally?
It has helped me in many ways. So, if I take the first few days I came here to NSBM, I was very much less confident in myself because when I came here, I had kind of messed up my A levels, and because of that, I had a little bit of self doubt. But with this degree and along with that, taking up the role of the HR circle, all of that helped me realize what my capacity is and how much of that I was holding back just because of my fear. So essentially overcoming that fear and realizing my capability was something I learned because of the degree and the extracurriculars that was offered here.
So that means ultimately it's to identify your capacity and your inner potential to
Right.
pursue through your goals, right?
Yes.
All right, cool. And what have been some of the biggest challenges in balancing leadership roles and academics? And what lessons have you learned from them?
So when it comes to the biggest challenges in academics and extracurriculars, I would say it would be meeting the deadlines that I have for the assignments because like I said, I have continuous assignments and not final exams. So in my assignment groups, I have people who want to do the jobs way earlier than the deadlines and get things done as soon as possible. But in my case, I don't really get that opportunity to do that always, to get things done beforehand. So one of the biggest things I've learned is accepting the fact that everyone does things in a different way, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the way you're doing things are wrong. So, like, you might have different schedules, the other person might have a different schedule, but stressing yourself thinking that you're behind them just because your schedules are different is something that you shouldn't do. Just because they have done something and completed it before you doesn't mean you can't complete it within the remaining time you have if you use it effectively. So, accepting the fact that everyone is different and building your own way of doing things which works for you best is one of the biggest lessons I learned.
Exactly. So what I learned from what you told was that everyone has these unique powers and capabilities, and that would just drive them to their goals. But just judgment and like seeing others doing this and that won't just make these things right, right? It's just yourself, right? Right. Cool. And talking about future plans, how do you think the degree program you're following is helping you with your future goals, right?
Right. So I am someone who came from a science background. For A levels, I did science, and my parents are both doctors. My brothers also did science. So I had no clue what business was all about and what essentially goes into it. But during my A levels time, I started being part of a lot of clubs and circles, and I realized my capabilities lie more in terms of management and managing people, which is why I made the decision to come here and pursue a management degree. So, when it comes to, if you can clarify your question again.
How would the degree program you're following help you
Yeah.
in your future
So
goals?
when I came here, I wasn't really sure what I was supposed to do. So after coming to the department and learning about this degree, learning that it covered so many aspects that I could potentially pursue in the future, whether it's managing a business if I want to start one, or going to the corporate sector, or even if I want to enter into the logistics sector. All of those fields were covered, and there were a lot of lecturers who were very capable of teaching someone like me who didn't know anything about business to build that person from the bottom to the top. So I felt very confident to follow that degree in order to start with the very little knowledge I had about business, but my big dream of becoming a business owner one day or entering into the logistics field. So I'm yet to figure it out, but this degree helps me to cover all of those aspects and figure it out along the way.
I think your degree has given you so many qualities, for like leadership, motivation, time management. I think that's so great, as a student at NSBM. And you must be really lucky to do such a degree, actually.
I am.
Yeah. And finally, what advice would you give to students who are afraid to take on extracurricular activities because they think it might hurt their academic performance? What do you have to say about that?
So something I've seen while in my time in all these circles, even the people who are afraid but still apply for the circle, what they do is if there is a list of positions, they would apply for the most bottom level ones like executive member. So when you ask them why, they are like, I haven't done another position, a higher position before. I don't know what I have to do in it, so they are scared of it. So our question is, do you think we have done this before? Do you think we know what we're doing? No, we don't, because there's a first time for everything, and you figure it out along the way once you take the challenge. So my advice would be, you might be afraid of doing it, but don't be afraid to at least try. Because until you try, your fear of you not being able to doing it is just an assumption. But more often than not, that assumption is not the final judgment. Because until you try, you don't know whether or not you can do it. So I can guarantee you that if you do try, and if you figure out you love to do that thing that you try out for, you'll always find a way to get through to the other side because you love what you're doing. So just try.
Right. So that means you just go take the challenge and
Yes.
accept what you have and then
Right.
just pursue through what you're doing, right? That's amazing. And it's been inspiring to hear how you balance the academics with leadership and other kinds of activities. And your journey literally proves university is not just about books, it's all about growth, teamwork, and as you mentioned, time management, something very important for university students, and stepping outside of your comfort zone, as you mentioned. Thanks again for joining us today, Hirunima, and sharing your valuable experiences with us. And to all our listeners who are listening to this, we hope that this conversation encourages you to explore the opportunities waiting for you beyond the lecture hall. And please stay tuned for more stories at the launch. Thank you.